Just to me, just trust me, whatever you ever need, I'll be, yeah, I'll be right here. So why don't you just sail away, drift over the ocean? Why don't we just watch the waves while we sit back and know that memories may fade away, but you and me were closer. Everything will be alright. Let's live right in this moment. All I need is you to be my remedy. 'Cause all I see, yeah, all I see is you and me. Take a leap, let's take a leap. Let's sail over the deep sea and see what's by the sunset.
Hello, you. How is everyone? You all good? Everybody there? It's time for another run at the show. Got a fantastic lineup for you tonight. I'm actually quite excited about it myself. Those of you who know me know I don't do excitement, but we've got a few things that we're going to look forward to, a few things to talk about. Quick hello to people who saying hello in the box. Toria, thanks for coming along. Mark from Spain, of course. Steph, Charlotte, Rhiannon, wouldn't be the same without you, mate. Wouldn't be without you. Big Pete, no Chelsea game tonight then, so we've got you here. That's great. John Mason, thank you for joining us from South London. Pat up in Scotland. We have got a brilliant night for you tonight. I'm really pleased and honoured, in fact, to have my good mate Kev Orkian going to be joining us in a little while, and then Martyn Davies. But before we go there, we'll just deal with Mark's question. Where's the beard? Well, the beard had to go, Mark, mate. Couldn't. I don't know how you do it. I just look like a hobo. So I went for that clean-shaven kind of young boy look. I think that's what we're doing. So, Mark, because you've not been here for a couple of weeks, we've changed things slightly. We are tonight doing things differently. Got a couple of mates joining me. We are going to be looking for our top tips for well-being. So if you've got any of those, do have a little think about them. Put them in the comments box. We want to get a big list together by the end of the night. Of course, our joke of the week. If anyone's got a good joke, Rhiannon will be typing straight away there. Joke of the week will be something to look forward to. And then this week, I've got a great story of the week. So if you've had a great story that you've seen or heard this week, do let us know. Highlight of my week, I'm going to talk about. I'll start with that. Did anyone see this brilliant news story about an escaped cow that charged into a hospital waiting room and started attacking the patients in Colombia? Can you imagine anything worse than being in A&E? You've got a saucepan stuck on your head, if it was me, or you've been mortally wounded like Kev would be for defending someone's honour. You think, I'm all right now, I'm in A&E, nothing else can go wrong. And then a cow charges in, bangs into you. I thought I'd start with that because that's actually a true story. But last week, Big Steve was telling us about his condition. which I can't remember what he called it, Unicornus Fantastica or something. But basically, some of the things he said, we all thought were lies, and we couldn't work out which were lies and which were true. So what I'd like you to tell me this week, apart from our top tips for wellbeing, our joke of the week, what the best lie that you've ever been fallen for or that you've ever told. So do have a little think about those. A couple of more people joined us in the box. Nick, thanks for coming along. Pat, joke of the week. Grant Shaps, we can't do what Australia did. They're an island. Started off with a little bit of politics there. Nothing wrong with that, mate. Nothing wrong. Pete, of course, pointing out the cow's probably in A&E for vaccination. Nick Jones is warming up. Are you milking it? Nice one, mate. So for those of you who haven't joined us before, do say hello in the box. We're one big family. Pseudologica Fantastica, that's what it was called. Well done, Steph, for having a memory. What we're doing tonight is we are talking to two guys that I've got a lot of time for. They're both very successful in what they do in different ways. And what we have to remember is that I know that we've got a lot of women who come and support us every week. Really appreciate that, and guys as well. But basically, millions of men are being killed by men, okay? Not with bombs, bullets, and guns, but with illness and ignorance. Men and women, we share many of the same diseases, such as heart disease, high blood pressure. But you know what happens? Whatever can kill either gender tends to kill us in greater numbers and quicker. Men die almost 8 years earlier than women. We've got higher rates of almost every life-threatening condition. More men die in accidents. More men take their own lives. More men misuse substances. We're less likely to access health services. Not surprisingly, there's cows on the loose. And we are less receptive to health promotion messages. So you got any ideas about how we can do something about this? We're going to try to save mankind in the next 52 minutes. So, like I say, I want to hear your top tip for well-being, things that are helping you get through not just lockdown, but life in general. I want to see your joke of the week, story of the week, highlight of your week. I've got to be honest, I got quite excited by the snow. That was a highlight of my week. So, do say hello to us in the box. Pop your questions in there, your jokes, your top tips, and everything else. And then sit back and get ready to have a good evening. I'm going to start off with Kev Orkian. Now, those of you who watch comedy on television, you'll watch Live at Apollo, 8 out of 10 Cats Mock the Week, that kind of thing. And these guys that are on there tend to be very good. They very often sell out tours all around the country. A lot of them are on their own merit very, very good, but they also got the right people behind them, the right management, and it's what they want to do. But I would defy anyone to watch a performer as good as the first guy that I'm going to introduce you to, Kev Orkian, because when you see what this man can do, it just sets a different level. If you like your comedy like I do, silly and crafted and accessible to everyone, then this guy is the man. It should be like Brian Connolly, Bradley Walsh. He is of that level. But you won't see him doing that because he's too busy running the world, saving everybody else, helping everyone else, putting food in everyone else's fridge, getting work for every other performer. And if he was a bit more selfish, in my opinion, it'd go a lot further. And I certainly won't be able to get it for free on a Thursday night. So, without further ado, can I ask you all in the box, say big hellos to the fantastic Mr. Kev Orkian, my mate. Kev, how you doing?
Do you know what? I have to say, top notch, son. That was probably one of the best introductions I've had this year.
I just changed it from last week. Last week I said Gareth Berliner. Why are you dressed like me? You normally work like dressed really smart, mate. What's going on?
Well, a black T-shirt makes you look thinner, and glasses makes you look more cleverer. And to be fair, since lockdown, my eyes have gone kaput.
Well, you don't need eyes when you've got those magic fingers. Kev, first of all, people don't realise that you are an international comedian, promoter, and the most famous Armenian north of Cheshunt.
Don't come out of the borough. Don't come out of the borough. Just stick to Cheshunt. That'll do you.
Stick to Cheshunt. The most famous. What do you describe yourself as? First of all, what are you? A comedian, promoter, a writer? How do you define yourself first and foremost?
Just an all-rounder, really. Someone who does acting, singing, dancing, and music. I play a concert pianist, so it's kind of an all-rounder, really, like an entertainer. An entertainer is someone that gets on stage and doesn't just tell jokes, but maybe plays the guitar. Guitar. Plays the piano.
Yeah, plays guitar.
Guitar. Yeah, plays the piano, plays the guitar, or has a dance, does tap dancing. So someone like Bruce Forsyth or Sammy Davis Jr. These were legends. These guys, they did everything. You know, everyone's got their own talent. Everyone's got their own abilities.
But they did everything, Kev. They did everything. But unlike you, they concentrated on themselves, didn't they, mate? You do spend most of your time helping other people.
Do you know?
You're like Mother Teresa. You're like Mother Teresa, Kev. That's what you're like.
It's a curse, son. It's a curse. You know, I was born to take care of others as much as myself. And do you know what? I've tried to stop it. I've tried to not care. This was ages ago. Wow. I've tried to not care. I've tried to go, you know what? I'm going to concentrate on my career. And you know what? To be fair, John, I've had a great career. I'm still having a great career. I'm having a brilliant career. But if I can take people with me, it's the kind of, you know, I don't like leaving people. I just don't like doing that. Good
to hear, mate. Tell us, you start us off then. How do we build you up, man, Kev? What's your joke? Tell us your favourite joke.
Well, there's a couple. The first one is one that
I do. There we go. You're going to overrun already, aren't you, mate? Come on in.
I am. Well, there's one that I do, and I love doing this joke. It's one of the last jokes that I do in my act, and if people do know, and people have seen my act, you know, I play this whole Armenian character who has come to England playing the piano, trying to make a living. So I do this whole kind of foreign act where I talk like this. Nobody knows I'm English, you know, and I'm very, very privileged to be here and blah, 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 and all that. And then what I do at the end of my act, just before I finish off with the boogie woogie on the piano, I stop and I look at the audience. And one of my favorite gags is I look at the audience and I go, you know, I was reading the newspaper this morning. And did you read about the immigration in the UK? I couldn't believe this. Did you read that 92% of all illegal immigrants come to the UK to see their own doctor?
And they laugh at that, do they? They laugh. That gets laughed, does it?
Well, they used to, but I haven't had practice for a year. I haven't had practice for a year.
Go on. What's your second joke? Do your second joke, man. Do your second joke.
Second joke was this. The joke was done by another comic who turned around and said. He said, last night I was staying in the hotel, and he said, and to be honest with you, I really fancied a bit. He said, so I got the, the local the directory next to me. I opened it up and I was going through it, looking for an escort agency, and I found one. He said, and I dialed the number. He said, and the woman on the other end said, hello. And I said, hello, love. He said, I'd like a nice Russian prostitute. He said, I'd like her to do everything, you know, look perky, this, that. I'm not going to go into it, but look perky, this, that, whatever. And he said, and also, he said, I've got a bit of an appetite. He said, so maybe if you can send me some kind of a Filipino or Korean girl as well, someone who's up for it, who does this and does that. I just, you know, I'd really enjoy it. He said, and I'm staying at the hotel. He said, the King's Head, just round the corner in King's Lynn. He said, if you wouldn't mind sending them, he said, I'll be in the room. And the voice on the other end said, you've got to dial 9 for an outside line.
There you go. Brilliant. Great way to start us off. Guys, put your jokes in the comments boxes. Now, Kev, I deliberately did something there. When you told your joke, it was a bit unfair of me, but you told your joke about doctors and immigrants and that, and I deliberately went quiet to make you feel uncomfortable. And in that moment...
That didn't make me feel uncomfortable. I'm quite used to that, to be fair.
But in that moment, that's the moment that when people say, comedy, I must be fantastic standing on stage, you get that laughter and that buzz and the rest of it. But in that moment, that's when comics are made, I think, because from that, you still went and did another joke. If I stared at you, you do another joke. Whereas newer performers and more inexperienced performers tend to fall apart.
Yes. Yeah, I've noticed that. I'll tell you why I've noticed that. What I love, and I know you know this because you and I we've shared many a stage together. And I can tell you right now, those new comics, one of the things that I love about watching new comics, or certainly inexperienced comics, is sitting there watching them as they're dying because the joke hasn't worked or something hasn't happened, and watching the brain go like this and start working to try and compensate what they have failed to achieve. And it's wonderful because actually in that moment, that's actually when they really start to learn what the secret of comedy is about.
And again, we've all got these lovely stories. I was telling someone the other day about how there was a new act, and he was holding court with a few of us in a green room. Tell us about how he was going to do this, and that was his first ever gig. And then he went on stage, proceeded to just fall on his face. It was dreadful. But then came off full of bravado, stayed in the interval to tell us all that we were hack mainstream comics and we were useless and all the rest of it, and then stormed out. And then 10 minutes later came back and said, "Has anyone got any jump leads?" Absolutely brilliant. Brilliant.
Brilliant.
Do you think that comics have got something different about them? Is there something that sets you aside, Kev Orkian, from the normal people, the lads who work in an office or work 9 to 5?
Yeah, I'm following my dream. Simple as that.
Okay.
You know, you look at people near my office. Just today, you know, I was in the office and someone actually said to me, "Why are you still coming in when there's no work for entertainers, when there's no work for comics, when there's no cruises out there or comedy clubs or corporates? I mean, why do you keep coming in?" I said, for the same reason that I've been coming in for the last 8 years into the office, because I absolutely love what I do. I can't wait to, you know, to get back on that stage. But you've got to be on the front line. You've got to stay creative. You've got to stay interesting, not only to yourself, but to others. So I think that's really important. So when I then said to her, "Well, why do you come in the office every day when you hate your job?" And she said, "Well, it pays the bills." And to me, that's not, you know, I see her point, but I would much rather struggle and try and pay my bills doing something I love than working for someone else and hating my job and still paying the bills. So I think I prefer to chase my dream.
That's it. What made you decide to get into comedy in the first place, mate?
It was always part of the DNA, to be honest with you, John. From a very, very small, you know, junior school kind of student, just making people laugh all the time, you know, telling jokes. I love jokes. I used to love the whole mechanics of telling a joke. I don't really do much joke telling now. I'm actually more of a character comic who does storytelling more than I do jokes. But, you know, I told jokes all the time, and they would be the, you know, the really, really, really old Doctor Who jokes and knock, knock, who's there, and Doctor Who. I mean, even that used to make me smile when I was a kid. But I always told jokes. And then ultimately I got my break. It was after I did a few musicals. I started in Fame. Actually, Me and My Girl, the musical.
Where was that?
I took over from Brian Connolly in the West End. I just went for it. And I literally just went for it. I didn't have an agent. I made that up. I just pretended I had an agent and went for the audition. And she said to me, "Can you tap dance?" And I'm not making this up. This is a true story. "Can you tap dance?" And I said, "Yes." And I can't. And she said, "All right, can you put the tap shoes on?" So I thought, oh God, here we go. So I put the tap shoes on. And she said, "Well, follow me." And she's all like, da, 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 da. And I couldn't do it. So she looked at me and she said, "You don't tap dance, do you?" I said, "Well, no, but I'm a quick learner." And she said, "Take the shoes off." And she said, "We'll let you know." And I walked away.
Okay.
And that night I got a call from the director telling me he'd like me to play the lead. And I said, "Why have you given me the job?" He said, "Because the lead, Bill Snibson in Me and My Girl, is a cocky, you know, character." And he said, "And you came across really well." So he said, "We'll send you to classes to learn how to tap." And that was how my career started as a comic.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
fantastic. So you started with a lie, didn't you?
Oh yeah, totally. And it actually went on to my next musical as a lie as well, because I went for Fame, the musical, with no agent again. And as I walked in, there was 30 men, all 5'10", 6 foot plus, all dancers with six packs, leggings, you know, the full works. And I'm there, 5'6". So I looked around thinking, oh, I shouldn't be here. But anyway, as soon as they started dancing, I thought, I'm not going to catch up with this. This is not me. So I walked up to the casting director, Anne Vosser at the time. She was still around. Brilliant lady. She said, yes. I said, "My name's Kev Orkian." I said, "My agent sent me here to audition for one of the acting parts. I believe it's the pianist." And I'm not joking. I made it up. And she went, "All right, well, wait downstairs." So I waited downstairs. 40 minutes later, she called me up. She said, "Tell a joke." And I told her a joke. And she then said,
"Not
to me,
that one that you just did, though, was it? It wasn't that joke."
No, it wasn't that at all. And then you're so horrible. And then she said, "Sing us a song." So I got on the piano. I played Elton John, and then I did another one. She said, "Can you do another one?" I did Billy Joel, and then I think 2 days later they called me back in. I went back in and I got the job. And again, on a lie.
Brilliant. Now you see, this is the thing. last week we had Big Steve Troop on, fantastic story, amazing guy, and he was telling us that he had got a diagnosis of something called pseudologica fantastica, and so he would tell these extravagant kind of.
I know. I watched the
hallucinating
show.
stuff, yeah?
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And it's funny how, in that context, it's wrong, but we go and tell lies on stage, you know. And sometimes, I'm sure that you must have it as well. I know that we've got Lester watching, Big Pat, and there are other comics, right? Another guy as well. But sometimes your missus must say to you, "Why are you such a liar?" And do you not find yourself going, "It's because it's how I earn my living. I just make stuff up, don't I? I make stuff up. I don't."
Yeah, but and certainly you're very good at this. But you and I know that actually the stories that are tragic in our lives that we then interpret and maybe embellish, but the stories that we tell about our lives that are true are actually funnier than stories that we try and make up.
So how then, given that we make these lies, because generally people lie, don't they, to make the truth more palatable or to avoid something or whatever. How then do you cope when it's just that raw thing? It's just you on that stage, all them people on you, them lights are on you. What's that? What goes through your brain? How are you feeling when you're up there and it's doing it? Because I've seen you rocking theatres with 3,000-4,000, and you don't seem fazed by it.
Do you know what? This is becoming an issue in my head, right? Which I'm trying to avoid it becoming an issue. But since the age of 15, when I first did my first ever stand-up in school, and I'll tell you what I did. I copied Freddie Starr's act when he did that fast forwarding and slowing down on the microphone, and he kind of did all that. And I copied it. But the thing was, I wasn't meant to be on stage. I was actually working backstage. And the headmaster said, look, we've got about 15 minutes. He said, anyone want to get out there and do something? And I said, yeah, I'll do it. And I didn't have a fear. I just went out there and did it. And it brought the house down. People were laughing. Teachers were laughing. It was great. I never stumbled back on the stand-up circuit again until much, much later in my career. But I never felt fear when I was on that stage. And then when I got into doing musicals, which is ultimately where I started my career, and when I started doing musicals, I'd look around me and I'd see people going, oh God, oh, I hope I don't forget the lines. I hope I don't forget the lines and all this business. And I'm looking at them going, yeah, but this is what we've trained for. I don't get it. I don't. Why are you nervous when we've trained for this? We're ready to do this. Let's go out there and do it. And I've never really had that fear. Nerves.
Have you ever struggled? Have you ever struggled on stage? Have you ever died on your backside on stage?
Yes. Of course I've struggled. But when I struggle, I don't necessarily always blame the audience like everyone does. I sometimes blame myself, and more than most people, I blame a lot of my issues of what I had on stage to myself, that I hadn't prepared properly. I might have not set up the joke properly. I might have done something wrong, maybe an action, maybe a move, maybe a facial. So, and I have copped up so many times on stage where there's been moments where I've walked off stage to my own footsteps, and things like that happen all the time to a lot of other comics. But for me, I take it on board. I take it on the chin. I go home. I analyze, depending on how long I'm driving home from whichever gig it is. And I always analyze, and I always think to myself, if I got it wrong this time, then, I just need to make sure I don't get it wrong the second time or the third time. So if I am getting it wrong, then I need to look at the act, or I need to look at how I'm doing it. But no, I don't get nervous. I get more a bit frustrated with myself, I think.
So then how did you cope with after that gig where you fell flat on your face? Do you go home and stay awake all night?
Well, actually, the ultimate reason it fell apart for me, I'll tell you what the gig was. It was at the Royal Lancaster in, I think it's Bayswater or whatever it is, down that way. And I was due to go on at 10:30. And they said, you're going to go on just before the auction. And when the auction, and you do your act, and then please introduce the auctioneer. He'll come on and he'll do the auctions and not the auctions, sorry, the prizes, apologies, the prizes. So I said, yeah, great. No problem at all. And lo and behold, I was sitting there on the table with, Billy Murray was with me, the actor Billy Murray, and we were just talking and whatever and having a laugh. And they said, we're going to do the prizes first and then bring on Kev Orkian. and we'd already been late with the dinner, and I think we hadn't finished till about 11. So by the time they did the prizes, which was 51 prizes, I actually didn't go on till 12:15 in the morning.
Wow.
And that's what I call dead time. People didn't want to be entertained. They just wanted to drink and go back to their rooms or dance. So I really died. And I was booked to do 45 minutes. I ended up doing 11 and I walked off stage. But I was disappointed that I failed them by not performing for the 45 minutes. But when no one's listening to you and people are telling you to get off stage, there's not much you can do. And there's not much argument you can have with that. So I put my hands up and I went back down. And Billy Murray actually said to me, well done for doing 11 minutes.
Well, if I could just do a couple of quick little shout outs to people in the box before we go further. Obviously, Pete, thank you. Sean Durkin's finally turned up. Thanks for joining us, mate. Nick Jones, Dawn, Pete Murray, Pat, Big Pat. Nice to have you here. Lester, good to have you, Dawn. You know, if you are watching, if you can just put some comments in the box, you've got any questions for Kevin. We are looking for a few things tonight from you all. We're going to move on to. We are looking for your top tips for well-being. Okay, we want to know your top tips for well-being. We want your joke of the week, any story of the week, highlights of the week. Do let us know. But most importantly, do put some comments in the box. Let us know that you're there and you're watching. Kev, one of the things that you said there is about, you know, you're prepared for it and, you know, you practice, you know what you're doing. But my, not concern, but my worry for you is that you put so much time preparing stuff, your brain is constantly on it. And you know that I'm often on your case going, you need to take a break, mate. So what is it about work or whatever that makes you just got to keep going? When do you have downtime and do nothing?
Well, actually, do you know what? And I know you're on my case because you're like the adopted psychotherapist that I never booked, but you're always there. But you're always there. And do you know what? I love it. There's very few people in my life, honestly, very, very few people in my life that call once in a blue moon and go, oi, what you doing? How you feeling? I'm coming over. You what? I'm coming over. I'm going to come and see you. And then you come over, we sit down, we have a laugh for a couple of hours. And it's great. It's not only great to catch up, but I know why you do it. And I really, truly appreciate it. But lockdown has been good for me. And I'll tell you for why.
Come.
You always complain. You always complain to me that I'm running too fast, that I'm doing everything, that I'm not doing enough for me or my family or this and that, whatever. And I suppose when you're in the situation where you're trying to achieve incredible goals that you've set in your own mind, your own kind of your own future, your own little vortex of incredible ideas, I think you get drowned in the achievements and the need to make things happen. And I think I've never forgotten my family, certainly not, but I have been away from them a lot because I travel, as you know, all over the world to do my shows, my concerts and whatnot. So this lockdown with COVID and everything, even though it's been a terrible tragedy for so many people's lives, so many families, so many, you know, incredible, human beings on this planet that have now, they're not with us anymore. But it's made me think a lot harder. And believe it or not, I have noticed since probably September, October last year that the lockdown has slowed me down.
Okay.
Because there is nothing out there at the moment. There is no shows. There is no cruises or anything. So preparing and looking after the likes of our cruise entertainers, which, you know, we look after, or the comedy.
So this is your management side now. I'll just explain to people that
this is the management.
Kev Orkian he runs a company that books acts, books cruises. He's got his own successful career as an international comedian. He has a touring show that he does. He also does panto. You've got to see this guy to believe it. And on top of that, he's also, is it Dudley Moore? Peter Dudley touring?
I was playing the life of Dudley Moore, called The Afterlife of Cook and Moore. It was a great show, and I played Dudley Moore doing that.
So as my mother would say, he's a busy little bugger.
I am,
always
but
working.
You know what?
Always working.
Slowing down, John, has been actually an asset because not only have I slowed down, but I've actually been even more successful in the sense of being able to organize everything better. And I think doing that has allowed me, because listen, I've had to slow down, John. Forcefully, I've had to slow down because my wife broke her ankle in 3 places in last May. And even today, she's still in a wheelchair after 10 months because the bones didn't fuse properly. So I've had to not only look after 4 businesses, but I've also had to look after everything at home as well, from cooking, cleaning.
Hang on, let me just stop you there. Hang on. Right now, Joe Wilkins Brotherton just said, "What a lovely guy you are." She's actually posted, "What a lovely guy you are." Hang on, Joe. This guy has got 2 little engines. He's twins. Every time I see him, they're either washing the windows, making the beds. They're doing their own shows. He's got servants, mate. Let's just stop you right there.
No, stop right there, son. Don't. So, for those parents that are listening to this show, or anyone that's got children, right? One of the things I had to do was homeschooling, and I thought this is going to drive me insane because it's wrong. So I changed homeschooling. So even though they're still their maths and their little non-bots and this and that and spellings, I thought life lessons would be a good idea. So I started teaching them how do you make your bed in the mornings like proper. So I taught them how to do that. They hoover their own bedrooms. They dust their own bedrooms. They actually come down and they put all the washing out. They clean, the windows or the floors and this and that. I've taught them life lessons. And do you know what? It's taken just under 4 weeks. And both my sons, without me asking them anymore, every morning their beds are done. Every morning everything's tidy in their rooms. And because what I said to them is, you cannot come downstairs and have breakfast until your bed's done. I know it sounds sadistic, but it works.
No. So I think that you've got an addictive personality, right? And I think that you saw getting your boys to make the beds and clean the windows and all the rest of it as almost like a bet or a dare, right? You can get these guys to do it. And then that became your aim and your buzz for the week, right? So what I want you to think about just a minute or two is that addictive personality that you have. I'm going to bring on Martyn Davies now, who you may know. For that, if I just remind people, this is Kev Orkian, who's an international comedian. He's a promoter. He's an amazing guy and the most famous Armenian in Cheshunt as well.
You actually didn't get out of Cheshunt. That's out of order, mate.
No, I've got 2 Cheshunt. I'm narrowing down your area there while you're thinking about your addictive personality. And what I want from people, please put in the box if you're watching, say hello, let us know that you're out there. We want your top tips for well-being, if you've got anything. We've got your top gag, any stories of the best lie you've ever had. What we're asking people to do is to kind of think of things that you want to find out. Kevin's on the internet. This guy's as good as Brian Connolly, Bradley Walsh, all those people, but he's also got a balance in that. He's got a home life and he's got friends as well. And he's just not really, he gets too tired to make any scandals. But please let me introduce you to the next guy, Martyn Davies, who I've been friends with for 20 years. Martyn is an amazing bloke with a great backstory. Like Kevin, his talent came from an early age, but his talent was it's just full of mischief. During lockdown last year, every Saturday night, Martyn did a kitchen disco in his kitchen on his own, right? Done the music, done the chat, and what you do is you type in what songs you're going to play. Like he was playing like house music, garage music, all that music. Him and Pat Rollick, who does a Saturday night chat show, to me the best weekend Facebook Live stuff, right? So Martyn has got some great stories. I'm hoping that he's going to be willing to talk about it. Martyn, how you doing?
Good evening. How are we doing, John? Hi, Kev.
What? Why are you dressed like you're going on a burglary, mate? What's going on?
Right, you want to know? Look at the state of that.
Started already.
I can leave it off, John, if you want.
No, put it on. It's offending me. We've got hairdressers on it, but Charlotte and Dawn, they would just lose their minds if they see that troll. What's that? What are them little troll things called? Them little toy dolls. If anyone remembers what's to help me out here. What have you been up to, Martyn? How are you coping? Tell us a little bit about what you've been doing today.
What have I been doing today? I'll be honest, John, not a lot. I've had a couple of days off, got the girls with me, and I've just been chilling. We just popped out for a walk, and not a lot, I'll be honest with you. Just enjoying time with the girls.
Okay, as you know, Kev Orkian is 99 miles an hour, whizzing around. I've just suggested to him that he's got an addictive personality. A little bit of a shoe in there if you wanted to talk about anything.
Yeah.
Which bit do you want to go for?
Where do we start? Where do we start? I suppose I should introduce myself properly. My name's Martyn. I'm an alcoholic. I'm an addict. I'm a compulsive gambler. I think it might be the wrong meeting, but yeah. Yeah, I've had an addictive personality since a kid. And I can look back now and, you know, the traits are there, the crazy stuff I used to do as a kid, you know, but unfortunately, I say unfortunately, it took me into a journey of addiction. And I was in that for 27 years. A mixture, drink, drugs, gambling. And I've got to say, I'm very proud, I'm very lucky that I do a lot of well-being, a lot of recovery. And, you know, a couple of weeks ago, I was 3 years sober. And for living 27 years of, how can I put it? At the beginning, I'm not going to lie, it was fun, right? I was into my clubbing. I was into the music, and all I knew and all the people that I hung about with, they were just all into just getting off their heads and going clubbing, and it just become that culture. But unfortunately, you know, my makeup is different to yours, John, and to yours, Kev. You know, once I put a drink inside me, I have a different reaction to the, you know, to Joe Public, and the reaction I get, it just kicks off a craving inside me, and I don't know when I'm going to stop or if I'm going to stop, you know. And the thing was, I got to a stage in the last 3 years of my addiction that I thought it'd be a great idea to start gambling, because I could buy more drink, I could buy more drugs, and that's what I'd done. But that just took it to a whole new level, you know.
So tell us a little bit. Stop the dance. Tell us where that came from. Tell us about your brother.
Yes. Last year was a really good year, and obviously I was out with you, John, doing some chats, you know, joining you on your mental health shows and talking about my journey addiction, you know, because I've sat here tonight, you know, to tell people, to show people that whatever you've got going on, you know, how far down the line you are in addiction, you know, you can recover from it.
Yes.
If A, you want to, and B, you're prepared to put in some hard work, right? Because no good stop the dance, the talk that I was out with you doing last year. As I said, growing up, from an early age, I was into my dance music and stuff. And you know me, I don't talk about this a great deal. There'll be people listening that do know my backstory. But, you know, my brother played in a big band for a period. And that band was, you know, a big band, and they were renowned.
And the band was? And they were?
The Prodigy.
The Prodigy.
Yeah.
So you was around all that. You was around that partying, that access to drugs, lifestyle, crazy times.
It was just there, wasn't it? It was just there. And all I knew, I just thought, yeah, this is brilliant. This is it. But I didn't know, as I said before, my makeup is different. You know, I didn't see these consequences coming into my life. Well, there were early consequences, I suppose, if you call losing your car at a festival and deciding the best thing to do is to get a tow truck to find it the next day and you take the train home. I suppose that's a consequence. But my major consequences came in, in the last 3 years, you know, just I'll be honest, didn't want to be here anymore, John. Just did not want to live anymore. And I can sit here and say that. And yeah, it's painful. It's painful, but I know there's probably people listening that maybe they've had things go on in their life and they thought, I just want out. And I did get to that stage, and I did try, but I couldn't ask for help, John. The problem is I could not. I was so far gone in the middle of my addiction. As I said, these consequences, you know, the amount of stuff that was happening to me, I was getting in trouble with the police. I was getting arrested, and it just wasn't Martyn. But I couldn't see this, right? And I had to have the family, I had to have intervention. They grabbed hold of me and said, what is going on? And, you know, I've had a few accidents.
Tell us about your foot, your leg. Tell us about your leg, mate. It's my favourite.
Right, so that one... So that I snapped the tip in the fib when Kev was saying that about his other half. I snapped my tib and fib in one, and my foot was pretty much hanging off. So it's like 90% metal I've got in my foot.
And how did you react to breaking your foot, Martyn? The moment you broke it,
I just wanted to crack on dancing. It was like I grabbed onto my mate's shoulder at V Festival and said, "No, we'll be all right. Come on." And he just looked down and screamed. I hadn't been to bed for a couple of days. And it wasn't until I got taken into the hospital tent, and I was high as a kite. I'm not going to lie. But the ironic thing is, like a year later, this poor leg. Obviously, if you're an addict, you can never earn enough money. All right, and it doesn't matter how much I was gambling. And I used to gamble big, and I used to win big, right? But it was never enough. So I used to have about 3 different jobs going on, and one of them I decided to. Pardon?
So just to feed the gambling habit.
Just to feed the habit, right? So I took this job on to help my mates from a removal company. And I hadn't been to bed again. It was a story, my last 3 years, I pretty much didn't sleep, I'd be up 3, 4, 5 nights on the trot, and this job come in, I was out helping him, and my toes curl up as I'm about to say this. I got on the back of a tail lift with a massive box, and some bloke decided to buzz it up, right? And my feet are pointing into the back of the lorry, and it just went up, and mashed. And I fell in the back of the lorry, and one of the blokes said, "You all right?" And I just kind of sat up and went, "Well, I'm not going to be able to play the piano again, am I?" Just like a bit. And the long and short is, I got 3 reconstructed toes on the same leg.
You're like the bionic man, Martyn.
Not anymore. But I've given up. I can't.
What's interesting, right, is that although you're describing these troubles, Wayne has just very bravely made public the fact that you were there for him at his lowest of his lows. He was grateful that you helped him turn his mental health situation around. And it's funny because I know Wayne. I didn't know you two knew each other until yesterday. So it just shows how we're all connected. But Martyn, your addictive personality led you to drink and drugs. I'm talking to Kevin because I think Kev's addictive personality is more about the work and got to be busy, busy, busy. And what Kev's saying, if Kev had time to think about it, is like lockdown has actually helped him because he hasn't physically been able to feed that addiction, but it's how he's fed that in other ways. Kev?
Do you know what? One of the things that actually I wanted to say, because I think you're an absolute ledge, mate, by the way, for talking about all this stuff. No, you are. You're absolutely amazing.
Hang on,
and
are you talking to him or me? Who are you talking to? I'm on a ledge.
No,
mate, not you.
There we go. Let's all gang up on John.
Charlotte Murray was saying how important it is to talk about all this. But, at one point, and this, I'm going back quite a few years, we were robbed. We had a burglar, a burglar had come into our house and actually, done a massive burglary, and it affected me massively. And I literally overnight created kind of an obsessive compulsive disorder overnight. So it took me 3 times to lock a door. I'd open it, lock it, open it, lock it, and all that. And it became really serious at one point, really serious. And do you know what I did? And I don't know whether this comes through from strength or from DNA or from just, picking up someone else's energy. I don't know what it was, but one day I just turned around and it was my car. I was checking my car 3 times to make sure the door was locked before I walked away. And I just literally locked it with that, the digital lock. As I locked it, I walked away and I went, if someone's going to steal it, steal it. End of. And I accepted the fact that I would have to accept that within myself, that if I can't control other people and what they do and what they say, so I've just got to accept it. And do you know what? Within a very short period of time, my OCD disappeared completely. Now it comes back once in a while, but I'm in control of my voice in my head. So I'm in control. So I know that if that OCD thing comes back, I'll control it. So when Martyn was talking about, I've been 3 years sober. Well, God, good God, that is so hard to do because you've been in that life, you've been in that case. And do you know what? Just to quickly recap as well, my mum, I was 15 years old and she was a smoker, and I'm talking heavy. She had smoked since I was in her stomach. The pregnancy, smoking away, everything, no care in the world that anything would happen to me. Lo and behold, I nearly died in her body. They said it was a miracle that I was even born, to be honest, because her appendix burst, and apparently I sucked in all that crap as well. So that's probably got something to do with it, John. But anyway, so lo and behold, at 15, she went like this. She went, right, I am never going to smoke again. And I swear to you, hand on my heart, she put a hand on the Bible, very Christian woman, my mum, hand on the Bible, never touched one again. Now, how does someone do that?
I couldn't. Willpower is not enough, right? People used to say to me, Martyn, you just haven't got any willpower. Martyn, you know, why do you have to carry on after everyone's gone home? Why do you always take it to a different level? And the thing I've got is no human power can actually stop me from doing anything. And this takes me on to my little spiritual path, you know. For me to keep well and stay well, I have to believe that something is bigger and better than me out there, right?
Yes.
I will call it a higher power because I have got something. Why am I sat here today? I shouldn't be here with what's happened to me and what I tried to do to myself. But because I'd never gone with it, you can, as a kid, you know, my mum used to drag me to church and used to hate it, you know. But that going to church and being a Christian was my mum's higher power, the Christianity, you know. So I didn't have any belief or faith.
Right.
But when I was sat in a treatment centre and they said, you are so lucky to be here, you know, you need to connect and find something to actually help you on your journey. And once I started tapping in and believing that there is something bigger and better around me, it's you know, obviously I have to do, I meditate every day and I do a lot of work on myself, other bits and bobs, but it's just believing that I can't with my makeup, you know, my addict makeup, you know, is your mum, you know, for being able to do that, she's obviously just
I was going to say,
amazing.
the willpower that my mum had has been insane. But I'll be honest with you, it was 5 years ago that I actually said, I will never drink another alcoholic drink and tea and coffee. I will cut them all out of my life. Don't get me wrong. When I said alcoholic drinks, I was talking about beers, spirits, this, that, whatever. The only thing I do drink, and I always have done, is maybe 1 or 2 glasses of red wine a week. But everything else, I said I'm going to cut out of my life. And I did that overnight. And I never touched it again. I had headaches and I had issues, but I never touched it again. But do you know what, Martyn, and John as well? One of the things that changed my life, because I totally believe you, Martyn, with the whole infinite intelligence. I do believe there's something greater than us. I always have done. But I'm not a churchgoer anymore. I don't believe the church thing. I think a lot of it's been used and abused. But I will tell you, 7 words changed my life. And I've always kept that in the back of my mind. And that was, as you think, so shall you be. And I truly believe, as you think about yourself, that is what you'll ultimately become. So if you're thinking about being a great human being, you know, alcohol-free, free spirit, and giving and kind and this and that, you will ultimately become that. But at the moment, you were thinking, no, drugs, I want to enjoy my life. I want to dance. I want to rave. And I want to be disruptive to myself as well as others. And that's what you were doing. And that's because you were thinking that way. You weren't thinking, oh, I want to drive a Bentley and have a nice relaxing holiday in Barbados. You probably might have thought about it once or twice. But to be fair, you've got to keep thinking about it for it to happen.
Totally. You know, the illness I've got centers in my mind. You know, it is a mental illness, you know, the disease of addiction. And, you know, you hear, you know, I used to hear a lot. It's 99% thinking, 1% drinking. It is all to do, as you said, but it just, as I said at the beginning, you know, I know from what I used to do as a kid and what I used to get up to, and I had this makeup, and I believe, you know, I came out, I had this addict gene in me, but it just manifested itself, and it just took me to the place of drink and drugs, gambling, and that's just where it took me. But no, I am very lucky today that I found a way out, and there is a way out. There is a way out. I attend the meetings. I'm not, there's fellowships out there that I am a part of, and I stay close to them.
So, Martyn, let me stop you for a second. What we're looking for, because you're giving some really good tips here. People who are listening, if you can let us know what you think are the top tips. Martyn's given some, Kev's given some. But what we want to know is what works for you guys. What helps when you're struggling, when your wellness, like Charlotte is really, as you think, is how you will be. Steph's made a really interesting point about OCD. When she was little, she became obsessive about checking everything because she was in a fire, so she can tie it back to something. Martyn, your addictions, your personality's like it. I'm from a very addictive family. Kev, you're working 78 hours a week, 90 hours a week, 100 hours a week. Lockdown has helped you. What other tips do people have? If you want to share with us, put them in the box. We want to know your top tips, best story, any questions you got for the guys. It's really it's great that so many people are contributing so far. Martyn, would you think though that your 12 guide, because we talked about this a lot, I came to was it your first year anniversary of being sober? Or second?
It was, yeah. Bless you, mate. You turned up on 1 year.
Hey, to support you, and I think it's phenomenal. But what used to puzzle me though was that, because before I realised Martyn had a drink problem, I knew that he kind of must have had some kind of problem. So every time I saw him, he's broken something. But he'd always have a funny story about it. And it was always like, I'm like, did that not hurt? And you're like, no, nothing to it. I never knew anyone who had so many accidents. Do you have some tips that you can share that's helped you get off that path, mate? Physical, practical tips that you can offer as advice, both of you. And again, anyone in the box, just put your comments down in there. There's a lot of people watching and listening. Jeff Schuman's just joined us. Thank you so much. Jeff, making a very valid point that men asking for help is deep in the weakness, sadly part of our social conditioning. Your sugar addictions. Now, Jeff Schuman, for people who aren't familiar with who he is, this guy was someone I used to listen to on the radio. He's not a lot older than me, but he's very well established, brilliant DJ, and then was very supportive of me when I did my first Edinburgh show. But from what I remember, Jeff, you was a big boy and you slimmed down. So to hear you now say that you wish you had more power with your sugar addictions, that's refreshingly honest of you. One of the things I guess is that they say men don't talk, but guys, we're chatting. And Steph works in construction. Martyn's been into construction sites with me. There is a tough macho culture there that's hard to break. But surely if we can come up with some practical tips and advice and ideas, that can help. Guys, what we come up with? Kev, do you want to start?
For me, well-being comes down to creating a few habits, I think, during the day. So I know Martyn mentioned, meditating. I do that. It doesn't have to be for an hour. I usually meditate for about 20 minutes. I walk 20, 25 minutes a day with the dog, just breathing, taking in good fresh air every day. At the moment we can, because COVID is still very much alive and lockdown is very much alive. So people are not still going to work. So the roads are quiet. So enjoying the peace at the moment. So yeah, I meditate. I breathe. I sometimes listen to music just to calm myself down. But I create a few habits where at least twice a day, I spend 10 minutes thinking positive thoughts. And I specifically condition myself to do that.
So, but was it Chris Akabusi with his positive mental attitude?
Chris Akabusi went to the same. Yeah, Chris Akabusi went to the same school as me as well. So it was quite funny when I first met him, and he said, "Oh, I used to go to Edmonton County as well." I said, "Yeah, me too." Chris Akabusi does it, but it's funny because actually it's a focus, isn't it? It's about going right. Today's going to be a good day. The moment you wake up, you might as well just thank the infinite intelligence. Martyn's got his own version of it, but thank the infinite intelligence that you're alive and you've got another good day. You've been blessed with another day. So let's make the most of it. Do you know what I mean? Let's not waste it, because ultimately lockdown has shown us that a whole year can go by like that and it can ruin everything. So why not make the best of it while you're still alive?
Okay, if I could just read out a couple of bits from the banners that are coming, the booths coming. Rhiannon was in hospital. She's been pretty much chopped up and cut open over the last few years. PMA got her through. She felt that. Lee, her partner, is very supportive. Also likes a bit of tough love. So on the whiteboard at the bottom of the hospital bed, he wrote, "Get the better bitch every day," and that was the motivation I needed. Not sure if that was the motivation she needed to get out of the bed, or if it was to get out and give him a kicking. We got Sharon saying, instead of bottling things up, write them down in poems. I guess that can help some people. Mark over in Spain, good calm time, contemplating, reflection, solution, and goal setting works for me. He's got a problem. He talks to his best friend, that's his wife, and disengage from outside until I feel better. I think, to be honest, that kind of works for me as well. Steph suggesting if you carve out a happy hour a couple of times a week and read positive quotes. But Kev, could you? I know you take a dog for a walk. Maybe that's what you're. I know you're into all your kind of like your books, and you're always trying to fill your brain. But what about that quiet time? Do you ever get that time where you just stand and stare into space and do nothing?
Yes, you have to, because by calming your mind, you actually allow good things to come in. So I do it in the morning, roughly about 6:30 in the morning when I get up, and I do it before the family wake up. So I do it. I meditate in my bed. I spend some time doing that, and then usually in the evenings when the family have gone to bed, because obviously ultimately I'm still looking after the family completely. So couple of times a day. Quiet, 10-minute quiet, and just close your mind off to everything. It's not yoga, but it's meditating and just keeping your mind calm.
So, Martyn, what about yourself? If you've got this addictive personality, this addictive nature, how do you then replace the gambling or the drinking with just nothing?
That's what I thought. Do you know when I was in a treatment centre and I got told that I need to live a life of abstinence, I was thinking, how boring is it going to be if I can't, have a drink? Because it's all I've known. I work a life program now, and we talked about it, John, the 12 steps of recovery. You've probably heard of it. But all the 12 steps is how to live a normal, honest, and open life. Because, I never had done. I've never lived a normal life. So I had to be shown at the age of 41 how to live, again. And I just started finding things that I forgot that I like doing, because drinking drugs and, and being isolated in my house for days on end, just with the curtain shut, I didn't know anything else. But there was a time when I used to enjoy going for a game of snooker. I used to love going running. I used to actually enjoy going to gigs at the beginning, when I wasn't absolutely struggling and, on substances. I very quickly realised what I like doing, and I just carried on. And the beautiful thing is about the journey I'm on, I've gone right back round to the beginning, because, as you know, John, I started in entertainment years ago as a red coat, and I'd done DJing, and I worked in clubs, and I worked in the comedy field for a number of years as well. But what my journey's given me is going back and doing all these things, but even better, with a clear head.
Yeah.
And I'm so busy. I know I said, obviously, because I can't go to a snooker club, but I can go running. But, I can't go clubbing. But I've been back, and I've been to gigs, festivals. I've been to dance raves, sober. Fantastic. I leave at 8 o'clock, get home, have a cup of tea, put my feet up. I'm in bed by 10. It's the bollocks. And I'm enjoying the music, but I just haven't got, what Kev said, I haven't got that awful head. I haven't got that. Oh, when I wake up, I used to call it a 3-stage hangover. I used to wake up and go, I've drunk again. Oh, I've done drugs. I've gambled. How much have I lost? I just haven't got that. So,
but there is one gamble. There's one gamble that we're all taking, especially men. Like I said at the beginning, anything that can men and women can get, we're more likely to get killed by. And Jeff, very honestly, Jeff Schumann saying that he's got diabetes. It's what killed his brother. I'm sorry to hear that, Jeff. He lost weight for health reasons. I remember you lost loads of weight, mate. Lockdown has helped him to gain it again. I think I'm slowly killing myself. Part of my destructive personality, and that's the thing. It's that destructive personality that Martyn had. Kev?
Do you know what? I got diagnosed with diabetes, just like Jeff, type 2 diabetes, about 1.5 years ago. And one of the things I said to the doctor was, I won't be spending the rest of my life taking a tablet 3 times a day to keep my diabetes down. So I tried to start, eating healthier and this and that, whatever. Anyway, I went to the doctor 2 weeks ago. And the doctor said to me, he said, your sugar levels are critical. He said, they're up to 22 now, and the critical is 25.
Wow.
So he said, you're not in a good place, mate. And I wondered what was going on and this and that, whatever. Anyway, cut long story short, now in my mind, I've decided that's it. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it right. So I've now got on a very, very healthy diet. It's very similar to keto, and I'm doing it now. And believe it or not, in literally 5 days, I've already lost nearly 3.5 pounds doing the keto. And I am going to live without having to take a tablet. But worst case scenario, if I fail within myself, apparently it is hereditary, and both my mum and dad have it. So it could be that even if I fight it, I'm probably going to have to take something in the future. But at the moment, I'm trying to prove myself otherwise.
So a couple of people got some very good questions here, and we've got some bizarre ones. Joe wants to know where you was the red coat, Martyn, what year, what camp it was. And Wayne would have been there too, wouldn't he? So
he would have been. I first started. What happened at the beginning? I was living this party life, and I thought, do you know what? I remember going to Pontins and that as a kid with my mum and dad, watching these entertainers like just walking round, having a drink on duty. They can do what they want. So I just thought, I want to be an entertainer. And at the time, I didn't have any talents whatsoever, but I kind of got in the back door because I had a Saturday job, and the head of entertainment at the Butlins, it's not there anymore, Saltdean Hotel, just outside Brighton. It was there for a number of years. I managed to win a job, and I got there, and I'm not going to lie, the average age of the punter was about 85. But what I actually had was, I could go around and talk to all these clients, customers rather, and you're buying your drinks. I was 17 and I could drink and just, so I started at Saltdean, and then I went to Bognor, and then I ended up being a DJ for them, for good old LSA agency, and I went out and done Jumping Jacks when they come out. But when they franchised into the centres, I went off to Minehead and Skeggy. But I was taking my own head with me. I wasn't getting,
But isn't it interesting that that lifestyle, right? And then you end up with an addictive personality with your gambling. It's free drinks in it at Butlins and Red Coat, right? Kev, your lifestyle, all them long hours plus your genetics. Jeff DJing. Jeff is what us old white people call a black man, but for younger people who are triggered by that word, he's part of the urban community. But diabetes, as we know, prevalent, and a lot of my black friends, especially now they come late 40s, early 50s, diabetes is catching them all up, mate. Jeff, black don't crack, mate. You've got to take care of it, mate. Sarah has put in the box about Essex Sheds, if you want to get some information, because it's all about getting that support network, getting guys together. So there will be people listening tonight, maybe with a drink problem or a gambling problem, or like Kev, who work long hours and don't always see that as a problem. Steph's saying that she works in construction and that it's that macho culture. How do you switch then from that? You've got that hereditary stuff, you've got that lifestyle stuff, and you're a bloke. So how do you switch, almost like Wayne's asking, from that entertainment DJ life, or from your point of view, Kev, from being a promoter, being a comic, being a musician, being an actor, how do you switch back into normal life?
First of all, if you recognise you've got a problem, right, which normally a normal person would, if you think you're doing too much or something. Unfortunately, I couldn't see it. It took me all those consequences, and I had to people, get hold of me and what you're doing. The biggest thing, the most simplest thing, is to open your mouth and ask for help. And just be honest about where you are. It sounds really, really simple, but I'm sitting here saying, talk, and be honest, but I couldn't do it. I was too deep in my addiction to actually do that. And I suppose it goes with just checking in on people, just having honest conversations, you know, with family and friends, and just people you haven't heard of, you know, heard for a while, you know, I wonder how they are. Just tap them up, just, you know, make that call, text them, even more so with what's going on at the moment. But the biggest thing you can do is just ask for help. And what you said a minute ago, John, I can't remember, was it the sheds, about meeting other people going through the same problems? I thought I was alone, right? When I was sat there in my house for days on end, I thought I was the only one. But through actually being involved in the meetings and having a network of friends in recovery, we all share the same problem. And we can talk about our problems. I'm very lucky that I can log on to my online meetings any hour of the day around the world and talk about what I've got going on in my life today to strangers. And these people on this meeting will understand me because their thinking is the same as mine, a little bit wonky. You know, if I was to take my problems as an addict to one of my normal friends, it ain't gonna be no good to me. I need to have people that are on the same path or going through the same problem, you know?
Okay. But you see, I think that because you're an entertainer, Kev, you're an entertainer, I'm an entertainer, we're wired differently in the first place. Most people fear public speaking more than they fear death. And yet we rather look forward to it. And I've stood on a stage in front of 2,000 people who have stared at me, and I'm the worst thing that's ever happened in their lives. And it's just gone straight over my head. Most people would be looking for somewhere to hide, but I'm like, oh, well, that didn't go there. Could be worse. I could be a pilot. There is something in us. I think my way of dealing with it is I just keep moving forward. Don't dwell on stuff. Keep moving forward. If I can ask you guys to leave us with a couple of top tips on what you think is good for mental well-being. Kev, you want to go first? You want to give us your best tip?
Mental well-being, to be fair, I think everyone on this planet has gone through what I would call the blender when it comes to just dealing with so much negativity around us, whether it's from the media or whether it's from, you know, COVID or families, or the fact that we can't see people and we can't work and we can't do anything. So well-being, I think is what we create within our minds, and what we create for others through our energy. So the better we think, the more positive we think, the better we create a world around us. And I think the top tip for me, again, truthfully, would be to spend, 10 minutes a day just creating a beautiful world in your mind, and not letting anything else get in the way of it, not letting that negativity get in the way of it, always creating that well-being around you, because the more you do that, the better it's going to be for the world, I think, and the energy that people are going to pick up from you is going to be really positive.
Martyn?
I totally agree with Kev there. Making that time, putting that time aside for yourself, and it can be hard if you live a busy lifestyle, you've got kids, but you need to try and make that time for yourself so you can just sit there, meditate, explore meditation. I'd never done it until I came into recovery. So many different ways, the guided meditation, just the quietness on your own. But I am going to go back to talking, and every morning having a conversation at breakfast with your partner. How are you today? If you get I'm fine every single day, he's not fine. How are you feeling? What is actually going on for you today? And just actually have a normal conversation, and checking in with other people will take you out of yourself. If you're having a bad day and you've got something going on, you pick up the phone and chat to someone, it takes you out yourself. So along with that, and, putting time aside, exercise, it's very easy for me to sit here and say that. I was talking about it to the girlfriend earlier on. I used to love my running. I still do, but I've done so much of it being an addict. I've got to the stage where I'm like, be asked now. I'm very good at starting something and putting it down, which is probably quite a common theme for a lot of people. But it is, even if it's just getting out for a walk, you know, I'm just having a rest from running. So there is a lot to explore, you know, and it is tough. It's, you know, it is tough for everybody at the moment.
Okay, if you can just find it, Martyn, just before we go, I just want to plug Sober is Fun.
Ah, right, okay. Some people think I'm mental, comedy night with no booze involved. I got told it wasn't going to work 3 years ago. And do you know what happened? It did work. I started with the first show in Chelmsford with 30 people. Our last shows we've done, we're over 100 now. These are people that are like me, or people that just want to take the night off. I'm fed up with going out, being sat round noisy people. I don't want a hangover. Where can I go that you can't get a drink but have a good quality show? So Sober is Fun. We started 3 years ago in Chelmsford. The London Alcohol Free Comedy Club. I sprung that up a couple of years ago. It's a grower. It is a grower.
It's a grower. And if people want to find out more about it, we've put the details up, soberisfun.com.
.co.uk. Just scrub that bit out.
.co.uk. You're so tight, mate. Why didn't you just go and get the extra £3? I can't be. What do you think? I've got a team here working that could just change that.
Look.
There you go. Martyn, thanks ever so much for coming along. Guys, if you want to say goodnight to Martyn, find him on Facebook, Martyn Davies. Go to my page, link up with him. He is a really inspirational bloke. Thank you so much, Martyn. Hopefully, I'll see you again, and we'll be working again soon.
Yeah, thanks, John.
We'll say goodnight to Martyn.
Good night,
Kick
Martyn.
him out.
God bless.
Nice to see you, Kev. Thanks a lot, guys.
You too, my brother.
Oh, thank God he's gone with his salvation stories. God.
Brilliant. Mate. So inspirational.
Do you know what? I've done his gigs, and they're brilliant. They're really great fun. And when he comes out and does talks for us, and I watch him sometimes, and his stories are hilarious. But they always end up with, and then end up with A&E. It's just amazing. Kev, for yourself, I thought it was howling.com. Is it howling.com?
Howlingentertainment.com.
Oh, mate, I can't be typing all that in. Howlingentertainment.com. And again, you can find Kev on my Facebook page. Find him as a friend. Just, mate, you're an inspirational bloke. You're a real pleasure. You're one of the people who lighten up my days.
God bless you.
And I've always found you very supportive. You know, some good cafes, good eateries. Take care, mate, and thank you so much for coming along. If you want to say your good nights,
I will do. I just want to say there's been a lot of messages on your message board on Facebook, and I've been reading a few of them as well as we've been doing it. And I mean, Jeff just now has just put brilliant, Kev, and a few people have been so kind. I just wanted to say thank you to all your viewers. I think they're absolutely brilliant and really good ideas out there as well. Everyone's so honest and so generous in kind of sharing their stories. Which, to be fair, I think that's the only way forward, isn't it? It's just to be open and honest and to say, look, I'm struggling, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and to to really be open with everyone. And I think we've all gone through it. And so the fact that people are being honest with you, John, on this show, awesome, absolutely awesome.
No, I appreciate your time, mate, and hopefully you speak soon. Take care, stay safe. Get them boys training. What you got lined up from tomorrow?
Well, we're going to be doing some stuff. I'm going to get them to finish off the garden this week. So yeah,
shocking. Getting them boys working. They'll need counselling. That's what happened. Take care, mate, and
God bless you, pal.
Speak soon. Yeah, take care. Good
soon.
night, mate. No, it's just me. It's just like old times. Remember the good old days when it was just me. It's amazing. They are both very inspirational people, Kevin and Martyn. If you guys are still enjoying this format, do let me know. We'll get a couple more guests next week. Hopefully we'll get Pete Murray from the box to come on and talk about it. He's got a very interesting backstory as well. So what do we learn? Top tips. There's lots to be said, isn't there? A lot of people are saying about the importance of talking to people, the importance of finding space on your own. People are talking about writing stuff down, writing poems, about seeking help, asking for help. We've had practical advice from Sarah saying about Essex Sheds, Martyn's 12 tips Alcoholics Anonymous, Gamblers Anonymous. Alcoholics Anonymous give a 12-step guide to life, which is, yeah, it's really interesting. It's all about how you change everything that you're doing. So even if you're not an alcoholic, have a little look at their website. You might pick up some really, really good tips. I appreciate the people, Lester and Jeff, of course, sharing their stories. Really appreciate that. Nice to reconnect the Redcoats, the Butlins crew, Joe and Wayne and that. These are difficult times that we're living through, as we know, as I said right at the very beginning. Guys, I think we die from ignorance as much as illness. They say that men don't talk. I think clearly tonight, as last week, as every week, we show that we will talk if we kind of in the right conditions, in the right place. We don't know what Boris is going to say on Monday with regard to when we're allowed out again, if we're not allowed out again, you know, what's going to happen. We don't know anything other than hopefully tomorrow morning we're all going to wake up and start again. We're not all alone. We've all got each other. I do appreciate you guys all coming along every week and listening to me. Find each other on Facebook. Become friends with each other. Let's just spread this community, get it growing, be supportive, message each other during the week. If you want a stranger to talk to, I'll vouch for everyone that's left a comment tonight as decent people. I want to thank you all ever so much for coming along as ever and for supporting me and just for being there, really, because I know that I'm doing the chatting, but really knowing that you guys are out there is very supportive. Thank you so much. Stay safe.